As we will be using Git for the following, make sure that it is installed on your machine. If it's not already the case, you can download an installer at the following address. Once installed, you have to provide your name and an email address. These are used to sign your commits, your signature, and provide a way to track who did what in a project. To do so, in a terminal, type the following. Next, you need to tell Git which editor you want to use by default. Here, we set the Vim editor as default. You can replace it with your favorite editor, for example, Emacs, Nano, Sublime, etc. You can enable code highlighting by telling Git to add colors to its messages. This will make the outputs more readable. In a terminal, this will look something like this, where we type the lines that we just saw. Now that all is set, in the next sections, we will proceed by working on a LaTeX document as an example project. Let's start by creating the repository. On your local machine, go to a location where you want to create the documents. Once there, create the new directory for the paper. You just have to type mkdir to make the directory, and then cd to go into that directory. Now that the repository is created, let's initialize it with Git. To do this, type git init. To verify that everything has been successful, type ls-a. You should see the directory called .git. Next, let's add some files to track. Using an editor, create and save a LaTeX file named paper.txt inside the newly created repository, and then type the following lines. Once saved, let's have a look at the status of the repository by typing git status. You should see something similar to this. We can see that the file is untracked. To start tracking the file, let's type git add paper.txt and then type git status again. You should see it as being a file ready to be committed. Committing changes to the repository is a key step of version control. This is where we save a snapshot of the current state of all tracked files. A commit is done via git commit. This will open the editor that we set by default. We should provide a commit message to describe the changes. On the first line, type the following. Then save and exit. And that's it. We've created our first commit. Note that writing good commit messages will make your life much easier in the future. The first line should be a short, descriptive message that makes it clear what relevant changes were being committed. If more detail is required, then leave a blank line and add a longer message. Now, let's add another section to our paper. Just type the following lines in your file. After saving the changes, run the git status command. You should see the following, telling you that the file has been modified. We note that the paper falls into the category Changes Not Staged for commit. This means that the file has been changed since the last commit, but we haven't told Git that we want to include these changes in the next commit. To specify to include the file to the next commit, we must stage the file using git add again. Once running git add, we can see the current state with git status. The file now falls under the category Changes to be committed. In case where, for example, a typo had been introduced to our commit message, or an important change was omitted before committing, we can easily amend our last commit using git commit --amend. Imagine we forgot to add the file bibliography.txt to our repository when we made our last commit. To fix this error, first create the file and then stage it into the index. Finally, run git commit --amend. To delete a file in your repository, use the command git rm. It will both delete the file on your system and stage it for deletion on the next commit. Alternatively, you can tell Git to remove a file from the Git repository without actually deleting it from the system. This will be done using the command git rm --cached. Similarly, to move or rename a file, use git mv. To recap, this section covered the basic lifecycle of files and changes in Git. Each file can have one of four states: untracked, not listed in the last commit; unmodified, hasn't changed since the last commit; modified, has changed since the last commit; staged, changes will be recorded in the next commit.